Hi and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave and this is episode 1329A and today's date is July 11th, 2017, and the title of the episode is The Economic Reset Has Been Planned and the Bankers Want to Control It. Now, before I get started, I just want to make an announcement. I uploaded an interview with Andrew Hoffman. It is on the X22 Report Spotlight YouTube channel. So all you need to do is go over to YouTube, type in X22 Report Spotlight. It will bring you right to the video. Or you can view the video on the X22Report.com site, the New Sentinel.com site. All you need to do is scroll down a little bit, look over to the right hand side, and you can play the video right on the site. Or you can go to Steemit, that's Steemit, STEEMIT.com/@X22Report, and it'll bring you right over the video and you can watch it on Steemit. Let's get into the economic collapse financial news. Now, we've been covering each and every economic indicator, and we've been following them, and we've been noticing over a period of time that these economic indicators, they've declined. They're getting worse and worse and worse as time goes on. And what everyone needs to realize and understand, and people, of course, saying, when is the economy going to come down? When is it going to implode? Why is it taking so long? Well, you have to remember, the central bank, the U.S. government, working together, they needed to create something. They needed to build something. And what did they build? They built an economy built on an illusion. Now, of course, they're making it seem like this economy is the real economy and people have jobs, retail is fine, this is just an anomaly, GDP numbers look great, everything's normalizing, these are the words that they use, and everything's going to be okay. And it takes a long time to create an illusion. Actually, it takes a long time to build anything. Think about it. If you wanted to build a skyscraper, it takes quite a while. Got to get the permits, got to get everything into place, got to get the materials, and then you can start building, and it takes time to complete the entire building. But let's say you wanted to bring the building down. How long does that take? It doesn't take long at all. A lot less time to set the charges and to demolish the building compared to how long it took to actually build that structure. It's the same thing with the economy. To build this illusion, to make you believe that the economy is doing well, to create these bubbles like we've never seen before, and to keep it alive, they needed to manipulate, they needed to push stimulus, they needed to do things they've never done before. And the only way they were able to do this is because of the laws that were passed in 2008. And we also have additional laws where it allows them to bail in instead of getting bailed out. Now, remember, all of this was planned from the beginning because they knew that this system would only last a certain period of time. It's like when we came off the gold standard in 1971. Do you think they just woke up one day and say, hey, you know something? We should come off the gold standard. No, it was planned. They probably wanted to do this much, much earlier in time. But it just so happened to end up during that period. And they created this whole plan to come off the gold standard and move on to the petrodollar. And then we went through a transition period. Well, this next reset, this next transition, this has been planned for quite a while, and they needed to get everything in place to make sure that they're able to do this because their entire goal is to continually keep control of the economy. They want to start the system over, and they want to have total control of the system. This is why people are talking about the SDR. This is why people are talking about all different things. Now, many people would like the cryptocurrency where it's completely decentralized and the central bank has no hands in the till here. Now, a lot of people would like that. That would be fantastic. It would be great if we got rid of the central banks. Now, remember, the central banks, they don't want to disappear. They want to be in control. Now, they've planned on having an SDR for quite a while. Now, remember, this is going way, way back. And this would sit on top of everything else where the governments, corporations, would deal in the SDR. And the rest of the countries, for the everyday person living, they would use a different currency. Now, a lot of people say, well, that's never going to happen. They'll never come out with the SDR. Well, this is kind of already in the works. The central bankers, this is their plan. Doesn't mean it's going to work, but this is what they've been planning on using. Now, people say, well, what about cryptocurrency? They want everything to go digital. Well, this is still in their plans. Now, cryptocurrency is quite new. The blockchain technology is quite new, but they might use it. Not in the way that we would like to be used, not the way we want it to be used, but in the way that they want to use it. Remember, they want control of this system. So they might use this as the digital currency where it's local to each country. And the SDR, that is used for governments, corporations to trade around the world. Now, this wouldn't be used by everyday people. And this is why when you hear the word like one world currency and things like that, this is most likely what they're talking about. Now, they would like this to happen. They would like something like this, or maybe there's going to be a variation of this, but their whole entire agenda, which has been planned from the very beginning, is to create an instance where they can control all of it. And you can see this is what they're trying to do right now. They're trying to push this agenda still. Will they succeed? Well, I think if the people around the world, and there's been protests around the world against the central banking system, and we can see with the TTIP, the TPP, we can see that people fought back and said, you know something, we do not want this. Well, the same thing would have to happen with the central banks. People would have to fight back and protest and say, we do not want a central bank. This would be the best thing for the people. We don't need them. There's no benefit to the people. The only benefit is to them. But we can see right now that this has been planned, and they are at their last stage of bringing down the system. And this is why we're seeing everything completely deteriorate very, very quickly. And when we look at many of the economic indicators, we can see that things are rapidly falling apart. I mean, when we look at automotive, when we look at housing, the GDP numbers, when we look at retail, I mean, it is all crashing altogether. Now, they understand this. They know this. Trump actually knows that this is happening. Remember, before he became president, he said there's bubbles all over the place. After he was inaugurated, he said the economy is a complete mess. So he understands that this is happening right now. And he's also dealt with bankruptcy. He's also dealt with restructuring. He's also dealt with everything that is happening right now in this country and around the world. And again, we've never seen stimulus like this before. We've never seen QE until right now. And we've never seen an unwinding of a Fed balance sheet. At the same time, they are raising interest rates. So all of this is happening at the same exact time. And we know what happens when rates move up. We understand that it affects many industries. It affects the mortgage industry. It affects the automobile industry. It affects the banking industry. It affects many, many different things. And a lot of these things are going to crash. And they've been planning for this crash. And these central bankers, they don't care if the crash is hard, if it's soft. It makes no difference to them on how this happens. All they want is to control the narrative. They want to make sure they are the ones telling everyone what comes next. Now, of course, it's going to look like they're just there to help, and they're just there to fix the problems because the government is asking them, but this has been planned from the beginning. And it seems that we're at the final stage right now, because when we look at everything with flattening or inverted yield curves, when we look at the retail implosion, when we look at the GDP numbers, when we look at there's no manufacturing left in this country, when we see there's debt that cannot be sustained because the tax revenue that is coming in from corporations, from everyday people is continually declining, well, we have a major problem here. And this problem is not just going to go away. And remember, To build a building, it could take years. For a building to come down, it takes 1 day. Not even a day. A couple of hours. That's how quickly this system can come down. And this is what we're going to see. We're going to see the system come down because they need it to look horrific so they can do the next step. Think about what happened in 2008 when the system was coming down. I mean, there was a lot of fear-mongering. They're saying we better do this or the whole system just falls apart. And of course, the Fed came in and said, we will start stimulus, and don't worry, there will only be one QE. Then there was 2, 3, then QE forever. They started buying bonds. The government started manipulating all the numbers. I mean, the whole thing was one gigantic illusion at that point. And the Fed, well, gained control of the stock market, gained control of the real estate market, gained control of pretty much everything. And other central banks in countries around the world also gained control. So this time around, they're going to do the same exact thing. Fear-mongering. The Fed needs to help. The central banks need to help. And we will start seeing this transition. And this transition is going to be transitioning away from the dollar because they understand, and we can see what's happening in the Middle East, this petrodollar system, this system is coming to an end. And when we transition, it will be a new system. There will be a new system in place. And the dollar, well, that will no longer exist. Now, they might call the next currency something else. I mean, it might be the crypto dollar, might be something else, a completely different name, but they will create something in this country to be used locally. And what that means is that the value of the dollar is going to have to be decreased, which means the currency that you have in the bank, the currency that is in your pension plans, the currency that is in the stock market, all this paper stuff that's going on right now, well, it's all going to be devalued. And a lot of people are going to be hurt by this. They understand this. I mean, look what happened in Cyprus. They locked down the banks. People didn't really riot. They said, we're taking your currency, and there's nothing you can do about it. And it had just happened. And they went through this for over a year. They're going to make it seem like this is good for the people, even though this is going to be the worst thing ever. And they're going to make it seem like it has to be this way. And as an American, or as a Canadian, or as an Australian, you have to be loyal to the country. Just like in 1933, 1929, when they said, if, we need your gold, you need to help America, they're going to create this entire narrative to make you feel guilty that you're not doing what they want. This is how they work. Because they're going to make it seem like if you don't sacrifice, if you don't do this, well, you're not a true American. If you don't do this, you're not a true Canadian. If you don't do this, you're not a true Australian. They're going to do this to make you feel like, okay, I should turn in my gold and silver. I should just take the devalued new currency and I'll just have to lose it because it's best for the country. And this is what they've been planning on for a very long time. And this is how they're going to try to reset the entire system. They're going to usher in a brand new currency. And it looks like we're getting closer and closer to that time period. Because without stimulus, with the rising interest rates, with the economy deteriorating and imploding on itself, and I know many people don't see it. There are others that are experiencing it right now. Now, everyone doesn't experience everything at the same exact time, but eventually we will. Everyone will be dragged into this. Everyone was dragged into this in the beginning of the system, but then the system wasn't built on debt. The system was going into something completely different where they were able to produce as many dollars as possible which actually devalued the dollar at that point, but people thought they were making more currency. It was part of the illusion to get onto the new system. Well, we're at the end of this system now. It's completely different. It's the opposite way. This is why wages are dropping. This is why the economy is deteriorating very, very quickly. We have a huge amount of debt. And this time, we're coming from a system that does not work. And they're trying to bring in a new system that is going to be completely different. And they're going to have to devalue because the United States right now is no longer the reserve currency of the world. Well, it won't be the reserve currency of the world. Before, we still were. We were just coming off a great system which was attached to gold. We came off, and then all of a sudden, the dollar was devalued. That's why we saw inflation. People thought, wow, this is incredible. I'm making more money, the house prices, and yes, in the beginning of the system, it's great. Well, we're not there anymore. That greatness is gone. That feeling of greatness is gone. The high interest rates, that is gone. Why do you think we're at negative interest rates? Why do you think we're at zero interest rates? So we're getting very, very close to this reset. And the only way you can really protect yourself, I mean, if you have lots of land, that'd be great. Gold, silver, that will basically sustain your wealth. The paper assets that you have, well, a lot of it's going to disappear. A lot of it will be worth absolutely nothing. And this is why we've been talking about getting prepared and ready for what is coming, because we're getting very, very close to that point. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.